Hello, friends. I have been busy for a couple weeks, but I am back here with a triple VR today. I'm going to be talking about franchise players.
You're supposed to be the franchise player.
It's Red October. I wore my red sweatshirt jacket in honor of that.
Bloody time. Sona, give me the bearing to Red October. She's taking position behind us.
And lastly, I'm going to be talking about my favorite cards, so stick around.
But they are all my favorite.
Hello, friends. I am John, and I am a 3D 80s kid. So up first, my friend the Drew over at Vintage Legacy has asked us to name our franchise player, and this one actually had me thinking a bit about what it truly means to be a franchise player.
Does your head still hurt?
I mean, before 1976, with the reserve clause, players had no power to change teams. So basically, if you were a good enough player, you didn't ruffle the feathers of the owner, then they might keep you around for your entire career. But the moment you faltered, you fell off, you pissed off the owner, they would ship you out. So it wasn't really the player's choice whether or not they stayed with one team. They either played for who owned their rights or they didn't play Major League Baseball.
Why do you always complicate things that are really quite simple?
So, it kind of complicates things in my mind as far as deciding who is a franchise player or not. Growing up, I grew up a Braves fan. I was a TBS Superstation kid who lived in California but followed the Braves every day thanks to Ted Turner showing them every day on his network. And Dale Murphy was my guy. I wanted him to stay with the Braves his whole career. I loved watching him every day. Even when they started losing after once we got to the mid 80s and through that decade, they started losing more games than they won. But Murphy remained my guy. I stayed true to my guy, and I was crushed when they traded him to the Phillies for basically nothing, almost. Middle reliever Jeff Parrott was the big prize they got in return. That felt ridiculous, and I was very upset. In fact, my binder here that I've had since I was a kid of Braves cards, you can see clearly the Fleer Brave stickers I stuck all over it. And the 3 Upper Deck shiny stickers are actually, if you're not catching them, Phillies stickers. And I put those on there in anger the day he got traded. That is why those 3 Phillies stickers are on this binder. I stuck those on there, and I never added another card to this binder. So I did not collect a single Phillies card or Rockies card before he retired. I was bitter and angry and upset that he was traded. I've come to actually know from, thanks to his own website, where you can arrange to have personal experiences with Dale Murphy now in Atlanta, that he actually has a write-up on that website where he is the guy who initiated the Braves to trade him. He had seen other guys start to falter in their career, and they got rejuvenated by being in a new place. And he didn't see the Braves' coming future. He thought they were going to stay a bottom feeder team going in last place. And he actually asked for the trade. I did not know that until I was looking at things about Dale Murphy, thinking about this video even. So it was really interesting to me that he requested that trade, and they gave it to him. And it didn't work out. He didn't get any better, and he
sucked.
Murphy was the guy I wanted to be able to say was the franchise player. But per the Drew, it doesn't really fit the criteria, as he didn't stay with that same team. So, but then it made me think a little more then about, how it relates to me as far as, heroes and your age relation to them. I idolized Murphy. I had the Sports Illustrated poster in the prominent place at the head of my bed throughout when I lived with my parents until I went away to college. And then their next star, I admired Chipper Jones, but the fact that he was only 2 years older than me, he didn't really become a prominent guy until I was already in college. It just didn't feel the same anymore, and it wasn't quite the same magic. I enjoyed watching him throughout his career. He was a great player, but there's just something different about the whole magic of the player you idolize as a kid.
My childhood hero.
So, ultimately, this is my guy that qualifies Drew as my franchise player, as the Braves were my team, here with this 1996 Rookie Cup card of Chippers. So, Thanks, Drew, for making me think about this and led to me finding out the truth there about Dale Murphy and his trade request. So,
To work. Thank you, Mr. Drew.
so my next response is for Doug over at Don't Talk to Robots, who has made a Red October VR challenge in which he wants to show us at least 5 of our favorite red cards. Now, doing this exercise, I closely looked at my cards, and I have found that I don't really favor the red background. Sorry, Doug.
It was mainly reds, and you know I don't like reds, man. You know.
It seems that I am much more fond of the yellow, shout out to Orlando over to Collector's Dream, as well as blue as far as my backgrounds go. In fact, one of my better red cards was the mate to this one here, this 1913 Napoleon Lajoie game card. I'd also had the red version and decided I like this one a lot better, and decided to keep this one, and used the other one as a giveaway prize for our 4 Collectors Marathon.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Which Shane over at Shoebox Legends won, so congrats again, Shane. But yeah, the red is just not my color for the card backgrounds. Sorry. So I'm at least going to show you some still prominent Reds cards. How about that? We've got, starting out, Mr. All-Time Hit King, a 1972 Pete Rose Reds card. There we go. Nice little batting stance on that one. Nice shot. So, one of my favorites in pre-war here, Eddie Roush, who was the best player on the 1919 Cincinnati Reds that won that controversial World Series against the Chicago White Sox. Unfortunately, this guy spent the rest of his career saying that his team would have won even if they played it straight. But of course, we'll never know.
Knowing is half the battle.
But up next is another 1972 Topps, and that is Mr. Gary Nolan, which if you haven't watched my previous video on this, this is the only major leaguer my dad faced. He had to play against him in high school in American Legion balls. They both grew up in the Northern California Central Valley area. So, Gary Nolan. He was a really good pitcher who, unfortunately, injuries derailed his what was almost a Hall of Fame trajectory career. So, really good pitcher for the early few years of his career.
He was good.
Then, my last Reds card here is one of the coolest vintage baseball cards you can possibly own. Everyone should have one of these, and that is the Gun Show here with Ted Kluszewski with his 57 Topps card, sleeveless variety. So, that is just classic baseball card here.
It's so badass.
All right. So my 5th and final Reds card is also going to double up as far as VRs go, as I have ultimately decided that this would be the one card I would keep in my collection. And for any longtime viewers of the channel, it was the very first card I featured in my very first video on YouTube. And that would be this hockey card, technically, of Mr. Rogers from 1991-92 Pro Set Platinum. And this is a card that I actually got early on when I came back in the hobby in 2021. Well, not this exact copy, as I gifted my first one to my first YouTube subscriber and first real-life YouTuber friend in Adam over Vintage Sanctuary. But I had to get another copy to replace it because I love the card. I only discovered this because early on when I first got back into collecting at all, my wife, for me, ended up finding this advertisement, I believe, on Facebook that someone was giving away a box of baseball cards that turned out to be in my neighborhood, and she went and got it for me. So, I mean, not only do I love Mr. Rogers as a person, grew up watching the show, but this also reminds me how supportive my wife was in me picking up this hobby again.
You are an amazing wife. No.
You know, if you hadn't heard the story of me getting back into the hobby, it was something I chose to rekindle my childhood again, coming out of depression with my mom passing away. So, you know, this is a special card to me in that regard there, with the support of my wife, and just who doesn't get happy looking at Mr. Rogers? So, so thanks both Doug, because awesome red sweater there. And then John, Wade Box fan, for making us go through this exercise of picking our favorite card. So, and thanks again to Drew of Vintage Legacy. 3 great channels, 3 great guys. I love this community.
I love you guys.
And everyone, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.
Well, see you next time.
Yeah, unless I get lucky and break a leg.